That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. I'm sorry I'm a little late getting started based on when I said I would, but I forgot about doing something. Anyway, I'm back! I am back from vacation. I was not doing comic reviews last week, and I left a light on, sorry. I was not doing comic reviews last week because I was on my belated honeymoon. I got married back in June, but I didn't get vacation time from work until October, so we waited till October to go on our honeymoon, and we went to Universal Studios Orlando. So I figured while I was just, waiting, killing a few minutes, giving people that wanted to show up live a chance to show up live, I'd show you guys some of the stuff we got. So Universal Studios, home of the Universal Monsters. I got this t-shirt there with all the Universal classic monsters on it. Haley and I ate in this Universal Monster Cafe that was really cool and had a bunch of recreations of props from the old movies and stuff, and it just really put me in the mood to watch through the Universal Monster movies, and that was just exciting, and so we're working our way through those. But yeah, I got a Universal Monsters t-shirt. I also got the Shining t-shirt that I'll have to show off at some point. But Universal Studios also home to Harry Potter World, so I picked up a Goblet of Fire and a wand, a Death Eater wand. Get that kind of closer to the camera and you can see it's got the dark mark as the head of the wand. But yeah, I can now cast magical spells like that. Haha, coolness. Got a couple other things. One of them I will be talking about tonight, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, just neat stuff. Really had a great time. Sorry I couldn't do comic reviews while away on my honeymoon. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not actually sorry about that. I'm totally fine with the fact that I skipped comic reviews for a week for that. Anyway, so we got a ton of books to talk about tonight, so let's start with the single issues on what we will be discussing. First thing tonight will be Agent 47, Birth of the Hitman. Then we got Batman, White Knight, number 2. DC Comics Bombshells United, number 5. Or it's just called Bombshells United now. I got so used to calling it DC Comics Bombshells. So Bombshells United, number 5. Captain America, number 695, lithographic cover. Batman, number 34. Mr. Miracle, number 4, because that'll be from this week. Falcon, number 2. Venom, number 157. Wonder Woman, number 34. And Darth Vader, number 7. So there's the single issues that we'll be talking about this week. But I didn't want to let you guys down, and I had a lot of time to read while I was on the plane, so I do have a trade to talk about as well. I have 2 trades to talk about. One of the books I'll be discussing is something I picked up while on my honeymoon. It's called Night Night Groot. It's a children's bedtime book. And then the book that I read on my plane, Jack Kirby's Mr. Miracle. It's a big-ass trade. So we'll be getting through all of that tonight, and in the hopes that this isn't a 3-hour video, I'm not going to delay anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. So we're going to start by talking about Agent 47, Birth of the Hitman. Now, my read on this book might be a little bit colored just by the fact that I was, kind of being distracted while I was reading it, and I didn't get the chance to go back to it. But at the same time, this felt really scatterbrained. There's just, I think 3 internal monologue conversations that are sections of word balloons dissociated from people, the floating monologue kind of thing. There are 3 different pieces of that. One of them is from a girl who's a victim of the actions of Agent 47. And the other two are part of a back and forth conversation between Agent 47 and Agent 6, as well as a back and forth conversation between Agent 47 and Doctor... Some doctor name. I don't know. I can't recall his name. The trick of writing the internal monologue in comics is very appealing to people, especially if they, just read The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. He did a great job using that. That's very appealing to people, but it's very misused because it's really hard to follow a narrative, like the beats of the story, as well as follow a conversation and a narrative on top of that. So, like, you can have characters in a room talking, and then you can have a narrative over it. And your brain is now split in two directions, trying to follow their conversation and trying to follow the narration. And then your brain can be split in a third direction if you take the characters out of the room and you have them doing something. And what they're talking about isn't what they're doing. And that's what this book is. You have narration for what one character is talking about, what's motivating her to do things. Then you have conversations about why these guys are doing what they're doing. But none of the dialogue is really specific to what they are any of them are doing. What in specific is going on. So you're being pulled in like three directions at once, and that's just poor writing. There's really no way around it. That is just poorly conceived writing. And again, I might take my word on this one with a grain of salt. Maybe if you're a big Hitman fan or something, you'll read this and quite like it. But I was distracted while reading this. I still don't think that writing, three separate narration bubble things like that is a good idea. Just even if I was, isolated in a quiet room reading this, I feel like it would have been hard to follow everything that's going on in this single issue. As far as just the general idea of giving like a, spin-off thing for Hitman, I like the games, except for Hitman 2. Hitman 2 is pretty garbage. Generally speaking, though, I like the video games for the Hitman franchise, but unfortunately, that's the only place for even kind of good storytelling. Like, the stories in the Hitman games, at least the ones I played, I never did get around to Absolution, even though I own it, were never really impressive. It was more just the complexity of the missions that was interesting. And this is not grabbing my attention. So you have Agent 47 and Agent 6 that work on a mission together to blow up a car, and the car gets blown up, and a surviving daughter is like driven. She's Batmanified to go on a mission to like take out the agency that did this to their family. And there's like a conspiracy and all this stuff about who hired the hitman and blah 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 blah. And that's fine. And then on top of that, you have 47 and 6 dealing with their own questions about this organization they work for. And so I guess this is all just like a really elaborate setup to get Agent 47's origin again. It's too freaking much. There's missions in here. There's like a lot of branching things. It's not even just a concise story on top of all this, scatterbrainedness. Christopher Sebela, 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 is the writer on here, and I think he really drags this down. Because I can't. I'm really interested in the idea of a Hitman comic, but I cannot follow this shit. And issue 1 is supposed to be your grab, that's the one that's supposed to get you going. And to have it be this all over the place is just, I can't even do it. The art looks pretty good. I don't really have a ton to show off. There's nothing like super interesting visually. It's just well done art for, a lot of people either in rooms or doing a bunch of action. Yeah, really nothing special here about the art. Art does its jobs, the writer does not. So I unfortunately will not be picking this up. Alright, let's go ahead and go on and talk about Batman White Knight number 2. I do not know what to think of this book. This had a weird moment in it, and I don't know what the commentary is here. This isn't a critique of right-wing politics. It isn't a critique of left-wing politics. It's just kind of like in this weird place where it's like, yes, we're talking about real-world politics and relating it back to these characters, but we're doing ultra-specialized versions of these characters to enable the story to be told. Okay. Okay, but you're also capitalizing a lot on the history of these characters. So you're like asking us to acknowledge the history while diverging from the history and also ignoring the continuity. I don't know. Like in this, they talk about how Joker is released from Arkham. He is considered cured because the police have never had any evidence about any crime he's committed. Any violent crime he's committed. So immediately this is in its own continuity. Like, obviously that was kind of already the case, but immediately this is in its own highly specialized continuity in which you cannot possibly take cues from what else we've seen. But like, I mean, when you think about it, I've seen Joker murder people on television in different comic books and stuff. So this is kind of like confusing. And then there's this moment where Jack Napier, let's call him, goes home to Harley, and it's Suicide Squad Harley, and he's like, hey, I need to treat you better, and I want to, like, what's the line he has? I want to give you the version of me you always wanted. As he proposes to Suicide Squad Harley, and then she beats the shit out of him, and she like yells at him, is like, what did you just call me? Are you for real? What about love and feelings in marriage? You are out of your mind? Enough with the bullshit. Go put on some freaking makeup and let's rob something. Anyway, so that happens, and then this happens. A kick comes in from off panel, and the original Harley Quinn is there. I don't know what to think of this when shit like that happens. So the explanation that we don't get till a few pages later is that the original Harley Quinn just fucking left without a word at one point when she realized that the Joker did love someone, but it wasn't her. It was Batman. And then a new Harley just showed up, and the Joker was so far gone he didn't even notice. I kind of like that, but the context of revealing this is freaking bizarre. Yeah, everybody in the live comments is like, what? yeah, so like, it's just weird, right? Like, that's a weird continuity thing to do. And I mean, I guess if it's just like I don't give a fuck about Suicide Squad Harley, I don't need to write her out. I need to write the real Harley in. And so that's kind of what Murphy's doing here. And okay, I guess, but like, what? That is so out of left field. Like, okay, fine. Joker doesn't notice that Harley Quinn left and has been replaced. No one else does? Like, that's a weird thing for us. So yeah, between that and the kind of like mixed, confusing commentary, I'm really on the fence about this. Like, I don't know if it's kind of messy, but interesting, but in an interesting way, or if it's just playing with ideas that the writer doesn't quite know how to get a hold of. I think this issue, like, I like some of the premises and ideas. I like the idea of, like, okay, let's actually question what Batman does, because if it happened in real life, it'd be pretty freaking crazy, and we wouldn't be okay with it. And, you know, we've all seen the criticisms, and this brings it up. We've all, like, seen and laughed at the criticisms of, like, oh, Batman's, just, like, a fascist. He just beats up crazy people. And, like, yeah, in some comics, that's definitely how people write him. But, you know, when we talk about the true narrative of Batman, that's not what's going on. There's always been kind of, like, an underlying Bruce Wayne takes care of people thing. If you want a story that I feel handles that dynamic of the character really well, go read Arkham Manor. I did a Trade Talk episode on it. But this, it's just like, it's trying a lot of things. It's juggling a lot of chainsaws. And I'm just on the edge of my seat, like, what is happening? Jason Todd apparently dies in this continuity. Like, there's an interesting scene where apparently this version of Batman is unaware of the, like, negative impacts that Batman has had on the city, because, like, Bruce Wayne goes to a rich party or whatever, and one of the guys there is like, oh yes, I invest in property areas where Batman shows up, and then when the property value is low, and then sell it back to the government for record profits. And I like this interaction. You're profiting from Batman's war on crime? Everybody here is doing it, Bruce. Crime is the best business in Gotham. And then Wayne just punches the shit out of this guy. So it's not like it's completely one-sided. Like, it's not like we have this version of Joker that's kind of like talking a lot of left-wing politics and stuff, and Batman's just completely obtuse. He's like, no, they need to be punished, or anything like that. Like, it seems to at least kind of be giving Bruce Wayne an exit door, but I don't know, this is a weird, like, I feel like he's onto something, but I feel like I'm reading a first draft. Let me put it that way. And then there's just, like, way too many references for my taste. Like, the first issue had a lot of Batman 89 references, and even a Batman and Robin callback. This one has a callback to the Almost Got Him episode of the animated series. And, like, it's not even subtle. It's not just everyone sitting around a table drinking and playing cards. Literally a line from the book. Whenever we spoke, it turned into a game of Almost Got Him. Literally a line Joker has. And they're all sitting around a table. And again, it's not even just like that's the only reference. We didn't mean to. It was a big rock. Just saying. It's a little too much on the referential side of things. But, you know, it's weird because Joker doesn't seem to be, like, truly a good guy. He talks about now wanting to wage war on Batman and make Gotham City a better place. But it seems like he only knows how to do that in, like, relatively villainous ways. So, like, he's got Mad Hatter's hat, and he's given Clayface a bunch of, you know, the Mad Hatter tags or whatever it is, and then had Clayface melt down into dust, and then put the dust into what the villains are drinking. So the issue ends with Joker controlling the minds of all the other villains in Gotham. I really don't know what to make of that. Is this like a Mojo Jojo situation, maybe? I don't know. And there's stuff with, like, Mr. Freeze that it's too much to follow. Also, this scene with Clayface at the end that I just talked about, this is weird. Because, like, Joker's given the hat and puts it on this page after they ask where Clayface is. And then we get the page turn, and we're just shown Clayface, and Joker's, like, got the hat in his hand. He's, like, wearing the hat, and he's got the hat in his hand now. And the shit with Clayface happens, and that was a flashback to give us the information of what's going on with all the villains now. It's a weird way to time a to put in a flashback. Because it's a page turn, and it doesn't really give you a ton to go off of that it's a page turn. Like, I mean, just the fact that Harley does, or that it is a flashback, rather. Harley does change costume at that point, which helps, but, like, Joker wearing the Mad Hatter's hat is a weird choice. Deadpoolzilla's asking what's up with the Croc design. I don't mind the character designs here. I tend to like, you know, artists experimenting and doing stuff, and Sean Murphy is writing and drawing here, so that's kind of cool, just to see his unique take on things. His Bane looks kind of cool. It's just, I don't know, I don't have a ton of love for this, and I'm really confused by the story right now. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm sticking with it because, yeah, Baby Doll was in it. I'm sticking with it just because I am interested to see where he's going here, but I think there's just, like, a lot of chainsaws being juggled right now. Let's go ahead and move on to Bombshells United number 5. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Margaret Bennett continues to deliver just really, really great storytelling on top of really just compelling messages that I quite like. This whole story of American soil, because this wraps it up, is all about just learning to think, or basically learning to put yourself in the place of others. Learning to think about others, learning compassion, and the power that has. And I really, really like that. So we have the other soldiers from Basil Carlo's unit who have also been turned into clay monsters. And the Wonder Girls have to fight off the clay monsters. And they rally the people of San Francisco, I think or is it Los Angeles? I want to say it's Los Angeles, actually. Yeah, they rally the people of Los Angeles to do the right thing now. This is their chance to redeem themselves and do the right thing. So they fight with them and all this stuff. But the moment I like the most is they use the lasso of truth. They get the lasso of truth around these Clayface soldier guys, and they're forced to be honest. Not only with the people that they've been attacking, but finally with themselves. And I love that we don't even see what they have to say. There's no need. Like, the way that this tells us what they have to say, there were words too ugly to be written, what they thought of us, of our families. That's really great. I watched as they try to utter lies and choke. I watched them struggle to say the lie that they had told themselves 1,000 times and watched it stick upon their tongues. And when they found their voices failed them, the words they reached for began to alter. What they said then, the truth, undenied. I watched them changed. What would grow from this? Who would grow? The seed of a better world planted in soil such as this. American soil. A legacy soiled. We will be better. We must be better. Man, that's just good. What I really like about this is it acknowledges wrongs and allows for change. I really, really appreciate that. It allows the chance for the wrongdoer to see the right. And that's really appreciated. What's also interesting is she doesn't limit this to only Americans are given this opportunity. Because we have a villain from the last volume, Paula Van Gunther, I think it's pronounced. We have a villain from the last volume who is now part of the team, part of the heroic characters, and she was a fucking Nazi. That's compelling. It's hard to, like, it seems somehow easier to forgive racism or bigotry than to straight up forgive fascism and Nazism. But I like that this is saying, no, even though it's hard, you have to be willing to do both. And when we talk about forgiveness, obviously it's not a clean slate. There is, of course, pain for your crimes. That's part of forgiveness, paying your due. But still, it's a really good story, man. I am confused at the end as to whether or not Wonder Woman is back. Donna Troy goes up to a hill where they have carved a statue of Wonder Woman out of clay as a memorial. And the clay is struck by lightning with a really good use of a page turn reveal, and Wonder Woman is there. I like that. It's a cool moment. But Donna Troy says, Diana, you're back. And Wonder Woman says, not quite, Donna Troy of Los Angeles. I am created. You created me. I'm your twin, your dark star, made in your image. Thank you, Donna Troy, Wonder Girl. And then she kind of like just disappears. So I'm not sure if Donna Troy is now Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, or if Wonder Woman is back. We shall probably see in the next issue. Or if maybe Donna Troy now has the power to summon Wonder Woman. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm a little iffy on that, but that'll be cleared up by the next issue, next story arc, I'm sure. But yeah, that's just a really good story about compassion and what that means. Not only to... not only that others need compassion, but that you have to be willing to practice compassion yourself. And I really appreciate that. Art-wise, we always do the artist switch on here, so I always end up liking one artist and not so much the other, and that's kind of the situation again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the first artist as much, but it's a pain because I really like the scene with the lasso of truth making someone confront the fact that they hold hate in their heart. But, like, okay, here's a good example of why I'm not a fan of this artist. Here's this group shot of the Wonder Girls, this big bombastic moment that really calls back to my favorite panel from Bombshells of the Bombshells finally all united together during the Battle of London, and Batwoman sitting there and saying, how about a Justice League of our own? And it's like a really cool panel. This is kind of a similar moment where we've got a team now of the Wonder Girls. And just, like, the detail is sorely lacking. Like, there's barely any faces drawn on the Wonder Girls themselves in front of Silver Clayface. And I really, really don't like that. That's just unfortunate. Whereas, like, you go to this next story, and there's just a lot more detail and a great amount of emotion put in it that I love to death. Like, this beautiful panel of Wonder Woman being reborn is really, really cool. I really, really like that. The glowing, the star formed around her, that's great. The star reminds me of Yannick Paquette's Wonder Woman Earth 1. So this just looks better to me. I don't know. I like the second artist a lot more, but as long as we keep getting such well-written stories, I can go with this all day. Let's go ahead and move on, though, to Captain America, number 675. Here we are with the lithographic covers again. I really feel like I like lithographic covers. It's cool, but God, this is a mistake. To do this with these classic covers redone with a modern thing, like Captain America. This one lines up better on camera for some reason than it did for me, because, like, when I hold it in my hands and try to look at it, even at, like, arm's length, it is not lining up very well. If you're going to do lithographic, you cannot do a pre-existing source image. You need the same artist to do both images, because there's just so much here that lines up. Like, God, trying to read the bottom here is terrible. Because it's words over words, and you're just, like, twisting it and trying to get the read. But here's the Captain America cover uninterrupted. And I just like that a lot better. You can do lithographic covers all you want, but you should have them match up. Okay, so finally we're beginning Mark Waid's Captain America run. And after everything Nick Spencer did, it can't be worse. So that's how we're going into this. It cannot possibly be worse. Thank God it's actually really good. This is I don't know how his run's going to be, but this is a really, really solid first issue. So what we have here is technically two stories that connect together. We have an early days of Captain America and he had first gotten out of the ice and was traveling across the country and fighting bad guys and all that stuff. And so in this story, we see him save a bunch of school children from some fascist gang that was trying to start a fascist revolution in this small Nebraska town. And as Cap travels away, it's the Boonton County Chamber of Commerce welcomes you to Burlington, Nebraska, population 6,319. And then you get the page turn as he's come back to this town, and goes, Boughton, and it's the same billboard, but it says, Boughton County welcomes you to Captain America, Nebraska. Drive safe. So this is in reference to, like, the town has renamed itself because of Captain America saving some school children. Which, when you think about it, that would be a thing that would happen in a superhero universe, right? Like, there's probably, like, a Batman, you know, or maybe not Batman. There's definitely the Flash street somewhere in Central City, or like, you know, Supermanville somewhere in Kansas. Like, that's what Smallville should rename itself once Superman dies, but, like, after he comes out as Clark Kent and being from Smallville. Welcome to Supermanville. That would totally be a thing. But yeah, Captain America, Nebraska. So this town has renamed itself after Captain America. And Steve Rogers now, post all the Hydra shit, is in Captain America, Nebraska during their big fair where all these people that have been saved by Captain America come to this small town and tell their stories and try to have a good time. So we got just a bunch of people sitting here telling stories about great things that Captain America did for them. And, like, we got this guy who's kind of giving what I guess is supposed to be the general consensus of how people in the Marvel Universe feel about Hydra Cap, which is, you see him up in Washington a few months back beating the hell out of some Hydra criminal pretending to be him. Cap rescued the whole country. It got pretty awful before Cap stepped up, but they say he had to bust out of a trap first. That sounds about right. He'd never give up on any of us. Sure, lots of people are still angry at him for letting it get as far as it did, and I get it. But those people aren't here today, are they? And so we got all these people talking about the good that Captain America has done, and then we got this one guy. It's like, he punches Nazis before he gets pushed off stage. Hey, guys, that is jerk cosplay. That is super inappropriate, because suddenly the gang that Captain America stopped, or the movement, Nazis, what the fuck are they're Nazis. They're just fucking Nazis. No, my bad. These are alt-right protesters, and we should listen to their opinion. No, the Nazis that Captain America stopped from trying to overthrow this town show back up at this rally, or at this fair in honor of Captain America, and now have built themselves up in power, and now want to re-establish their movement and take control, starting in this town as a big historical fuck you. But Steve Rogers shows up. Steve Rogers is already there, and he saves the day and says to everybody, hey, sorry that I was kind of in disguise, just easier for me to move around out of costume. And I appreciate everything you guys are doing, but honestly, I'm just doing the right thing, and you'd all do the same. And then he rides off into the sunset. That's a great Captain America story. Thank fucking God, we needed it. God, Wade's not gonna have to do a lot to just improve the image of Captain America, and just writing Captain America competently will be enough. Right now, he's writing Captain America fairly well. You know, I dig it, man. It's a good story. Let's see here. What's the art credit on this one again? Okay, so Mark Waid and Chris Samnee, Samnee, Samnee. I'm gonna go with Samnee. I had one of the artists of a book I talked about comment on a video last week, and he told me how to pronounce his name, and I always feel super unprofessional in that I don't know how to pronounce these guys' names, but like, you only read them. And so it could be literally any kind of pronunciation. But anyway, Mark Waid and Chris Samnee are co-credited as storytellers on this. So I'm assuming Chris had something to do with maybe the plotting or the way things worked out in this issue. Which is cool to see. I like the more minimalist style that does a lot to to really help sell this as just feeling like a, iconic classic Captain America story. What's also neat is like he's getting a lot conveyed with just shading and color. Because like when Cap is like a lot of lighting effects too for the shading, which is cool. Like, you got this panel down here. It's so hard to point and do this. You have this panel right here with the muzzle flash. And I just like all the lighting effects and the shading that's done to convey that. That's really cool. And then once you get to the town, it's got this, like, kind of yellowish hue over a lot of the stuff. So it feels kind of like small towny, and it works for me in a big way. Really, really like it. It's a fun issue. Flashbacks in red, which is cool. Again, I like comics that are done like this, with this just kind of like timeless style. This just feels like, very quintessential American comic books to me, and I always dig that. Like, that is just a great image of Captain America right there. Captain America fighting off a bunch of bad guys with, fascist overtones. And, he just looks cool, which is great. So yeah, digging this. A lot going on here that I am enjoying. And then, it's also neat that Mark Waid leaves a short story or a mission statement, I suppose you could call it, in the back here, just talking about why he loves Captain America and how excited he is to write the character again. I don't really know what to think of this backup that's in here. Basically just kind of like goes over Steve Rogers as a character. I don't know if maybe all the Marvel Legacy books are doing that or what's up, but it's fine. It just literally I forgot it was in there until I looked and turned the page, so whatever works. Let's go ahead and move along to Batman number 34 by Tom King and Joelle Jones on the art. This is Rules of Engagement Part 2, I want to say. Yeah, Part 2. And just, man, Tom King does really good dialogue. Trying to remember. It's not Azzarello. It's a playwright. He does a lot of really funny plays. God damn. Simon something? I don't know. Name escapes me, but there's a playwright that does a lot of funny plays with a lot of really witty dialogue. And I guess another playwright comes to mind, David Mamet, who does a lot of like minimalist dialogue and very little stage direction. Like it's very good dialogue, but it's a lot of minimalism and just one word can mean three different things, and it means all three of those things in that one sentence. And so you got kind of like a similar thing going here between Catwoman and Batman as they argue. And it's just like, it's such great couple bickering, and I really, really like this. That's a lot. I've seen more. I didn't say I haven't seen more. I'm just saying that's a lot. I wasn't trying to say. I know what you were trying to say. Look, you're right. It's a lot. Now you're just making fun of me. Cat, I may be wearing a leather bat costume, but do I look crazy enough to make fun of you? I don't know, Bat. Do I look dumb enough to not know what a lot is? No, you look lovely. Sure, you say that now. Wait till I've got their blood all over me. And so this is just like a bickering conversation that takes place as they get surrounded by League of Assassins members. I'm assuming it's League of Assassins. Because they're working for Talia. I guess what does it qualify to be a member of the League of Assassins? Do you just have to work for Talia, or do you have to like earn a special special like level to be a member of the League of Assassins as opposed to a lackey? Anyway, so yeah, we've got these guys surrounding them. I really like this 2-page. Like it's a 2-page spread, kind of, but it's actually separate panels, and we get a 180, which is really cool. So it's just 2 big panels, and it looks really, really cool, and gives you a sense of the threat they are dealing with. And yeah, Talia al Ghul is fucking terrifying. I love this scene. The woman, Selena Kyle, the Catwoman. They are together? Yes, they are to be married. Oh. The poor thing. Tell the men it is fine. They may do as they do. Yes, mistress. So literally, I love this. Like, God, I can go panel by panel with this. I love the tone and the cruelty and clear, undeniable rage that Talia al Ghul is feeling right now. She's inspecting her sword, and then she finds out that her boo wants to like get married to someone else, and she's like, just grabs her sword and cuts her hand right the fuck open. And she's like, the poor thing. And like, there's a lot communicated in tell the men it is fine, they may do as they do, about who Talia is as a character, the level of fucked upness that Batman and Catwoman are dealing with right now, and the level of a threat that is going on. So that line, at least how I interpreted it, and like I was the one that blew everyone away with the last issue saying, I think Talia was in the middle of an orgy, or in the aftermath of an orgy. I literally think that line, the men, tell the men it is fine, they may do as they do, that is literally saying, okay, if you defeat her, you can rape her. Talia is fucking evil. Just fuck. Oh. Just fuck. Oh. Anyway, so Batman and Catwoman are fighting off all these guys, and Batman has come to the conclusion that they are fighting these guys not to be captured or to be, taken anywhere. They're fighting these guys to be worn down. And it's a cool fight scene, man. Then we go over to outside of this country that, the Justice League has agreed to be out of. We got Superman. First time I've seen Tom King write Superman outside of, the one issue of I Am Bane that he's in. Which was... What was his Superman lines? Oh. How bad? So we just get Superman and Damian arguing, and I love the way Tom King writes Damian. He writes Damian really, really well. As, the proper level of smug. And then Superman takes off and tells him that they're not allowed to go into this country. And we just get Dick and Damian together, which is really cool. Nice nod to Batman and Robin, the Grant Morrison run, which I love. So anyway, they managed to defeat all the League of Assassins members, and they are completely wiped out. And that's when Talia shows up. Detective Talia, do you have a sword? No. Well then, get one. Just love how, like, minimal a lot of the dialogue in this is. And Talia is terrifying and just really, really well drawn. God, she looks great there. She, like, it's the perfect mix of, like, gorgeous, dangerous, deadly. That is, like, that panel of her is, like, definition of femme fatale. She just looks powerful and imposing, which is really cool. And I like the get one. Like, each word gets its separate, like, partial balloon, which is cool. So Batman tries to reason with her and get Holly Robinson, which is apparently why Catwoman and Batman are where they are and dealing with Talia. And Batman gets his ass handed to him and a sword in his back. And then Catwoman runs over to comfort him, and Talia says, "Do you have a sword? Are you insane? Do you have a sword? No. Get one." And so Catwoman pulls the sword out of Batman's back and gets ready to fight Talia. Shit. Just shit. Joelle Jones does a great job of conveying just a lot in this. He does a great job with emotions on the faces of these characters. Does a great job showing, really cool dynamic action and just pain. Like this panel of Batman getting stabbed. Oh, that's cringeworthy, man. I am excited for the next issue. I'm always excited for the next issue of Batman by Tom King. Joelle Jones is a great match. It seems like Tom King has really great luck with artists. Like, I know some people don't like David Finch. I'm hit and miss on him, but I feel like he did a good job in the volumes he worked on King with, and Joelle Jones, another really solid artist that he's working with here. So, really, really enjoying it. A lot of muted tones here, which is really cool. A lot of reds. And it's interesting to see Superman in that imagery, in this, like, red, rocky desert kind of thing. I dig it. I dig it. Damian, for example. Damian has great range of facial expressions for someone who is, like, kind of always, in various levels of pouting. It looks really, really solid. I really like it. Like, every time I see a panel of Damian, I feel like he's got, like, a scowl on his face, but he just looks like I'm getting a different type of feel from every time I'm seeing him. Really well handled. Yeah. Go ahead and move along. Now we're on this week of comics. So we go from talking about the genius of Tom King to the genius of Tom King with Mr. Miracle number 4. Tom King loves his 9-panel grids. Just loves him some 9-panel grids. I'm glad that Tom King's getting to do a character that's, like, not as well known or as, well, Mr. Miracle certainly isn't, like, obscure, but not as on as many people's radar, let me put it that way, because he's doing some really interesting stuff here. We open again with narration from the original Kirby comic. And 9-panel grids. But Scott Free has already dealt with Dr. Bedlam. That's why Scott is jammed in a heavenly bound trunk, victim of the most bizarre trap ever conceived by evil design. Of course, from the cutaway below, it would seem the danger is negligible. Lesser escape artists have been trussed this way without eliciting fear. And scot-free is Mr. Miracle, super escape artist. Well, just hold on to your hackles, cats. Continue on, and you'll see what an uncommon and deadly trap this really is. And all the context for that is Scott lying in bed. What an uncommon and deadly trap this is. So what has happened is Light Ray has shown up and told Scott that he is accused of being an agent of Darkseid, and he either has to face trial or face execution. So Scott picks trial, and he's just like very dissociated from everything. You may choose the location, or you may choose trial or execution. Trial. You may choose the location of your trial. Can we just do it here? I got a show tomorrow, and then I got equipment being delivered this week. I want to make sure it's not just sitting by the door. A trial here, as is your privilege, General. And so Light Ray disappears, and it's just all, like, is this entire comic book 9-panel grids, and I didn't pick up on that? I'm pretty sure this entire frickin' comic is nothing but 9-panel grids. I've got to look. This is the best, most entertaining thing ever. Yep, every single issue, or every single thing is just a 9-panel grid, every single page. And with Tom King's thoughts on things being trapped behind the panels are a prison that keeps what's happening from reality. It's really fascinating. Some of them get a little murky as to like where the panel border is, but it's still very much a 9-panel grid. Like this is the page that is the most murky as to whether the panels are, and it's not really anything too obscure except for Darkseid is. What's interesting is that is, I believe, the only page with black borders. And of course the Darkseid is panel is on a black background. And so it's kind of just consuming the whole page. It's kind of like lingering in the background. And there it is. Anyway. So there is a trial in Scott-Free and Big Barda's apartment. And Orion is Highfather, and it is the duty of Highfather to choose judge, accuser, and defender. And so he chooses Highfather to be the judge, to be the accuser, and to be the defender of Scott-Free. And his logic is perfectly circular. So, like, you kind of see that there's no way that Scott is getting out of this, and you kind of see the absurdity of the situation at hand. Anyway, so Orion begins his questioning, and, like, begins by saying, I do not want answers of I do not know, or I am not sure. I want what you believe to be true or false. And so he begins asking him questions. We begin. You confessed you believed Darkseid had infected you with the anti-life equation. True or false? True. You then accused the Highfather of being similarly infected. True or false? True. The High Father is an agent of Darkseid. True or false? I don't know. Again, your lack of knowledge will not save or condemn you. Only your beliefs can. What? Ryan, come on. How am I supposed to know? General, you know what you believe. True or false? I don't... Fine, I know what I believe. Whatever. True. Then again, what you believe. The High Father is an agent of Darkseid. True or false? True. I don't know. Maybe true. The High Father is an agent of Darkseid. True or false? True. I am an agent of Darkseid. True or false? True. You are an agent of Darkseid. True or false? False. Now, an agent of Darkseid would deny he was such an agent. True or false? True. An agent of Darkseid would also accuse the High Father of being an agent of Darkseid. True or false? True. You have made both of these statements today. True or false? True. Now, an agent of Darkseid would not necessarily know he was an agent of Darkseid. True or false? True. Therefore, you could be an agent of Darkseid. True or false? True. You killed Granny Goodness. True or false? False. Big Barda killed Granny Goodness when you defied my orders. True or false? True. You saw Light Ray kill Forager here in this room. True or false? True. Forager deserved to die. True or false? I don't know. For the last time, I do not care what you know. I care about what you believe. And then we get a break. And it's just like this really intense thing, but like the art is so, relatively speaking, bland. And I don't mean that as like Mitch Gerads didn't write a dynamic scene, or draw a dynamic scene. I mean that it's just like what you are seeing is so... How do I put this? So not on the same level as the intense Kirby-esque drama of what you are used to for something like this. It's helpful to have these next to each other. Like, you just look at your average Kirby page, and he couldn't go 2 panels without something happening. And yet, we have all these static images of Scott and Orion. Literally nothing's changing. Scott and Orion, it's just the same reused panel over and over and over again. But the intensity of the drama is juxtaposed to that. Really, really solid and interestingly dynamic stuff here. So we've got Orion, who's basically already convicted Scott of everything that he's been accused of. And we get some major character revelations, and Scott gets pissed off enough to punch Orion. After which point, Orion decides, "You are judged guilty. As I cannot contain you, Mr. Miracle, you will report to my throne in 3 days, where I'll perform your execution." Oof. So that's the end of the issue, more or less. As after he leaves, everybody else leaves as well, except for Barda and Scott, who are on the floor together. Man. This is a hard book to read, you know? It's dealing with a lot of things, like all the Darkseid stuff, and are you an agent of Darkseid? It's really interesting in what an agent of Darkseid is. I see you hate our father. You hate our father. True or false? True. Fine. You hate me. True or false? True. You hate New Genesis. True or false? True. You hate Apocalypse. True or false? True. You hate your career. True or false? True. You hate your childhood. True or false? True. You hate your life. True or false? True. You hate yourself. True or false? True. You hate God. True or false? True. Right now all you feel is hate. True or false? True. Hate made you doubt my reign as Highfather. True or false? True. Hate made you accuse me of treason. True or false? True. Hate made you doubt everything. True or false? True. Hate drove you to escape everything. True or false? True. Hate made you kill yourself. True or false? True. You are hate. True or false? True. The anti-life equation is hate. True or false? True. You are the anti-life equation. True or false? Pow. Man, it's just it's hard to really read, you know? It's a intense scene. I dig this to death. This will probably go down as one of the single best runs on a comic, if not in the 2010s, if not just in the 2010s, maybe ever. This is going so well. Every issue has just been better than the last in every way. I've yet to have a single thing I can complain about with it, which is, as always, pretty good sign. Okay, let's move along to Falcon number 2. I saw Robert Emmett in the comments say I should probably stop reading this and just go to read Daredevil, and I'm kind of leaning on that because this is not particularly interesting to me. A lot of the cosmic, supernatural Marvel stuff tends to fall on the boring side for me. And I don't know. Sam Wilson being manipulated by the forces of evil and Brother Voodoo, blah blah blah. Evil Mayor is Blackheart. Evil. Take over the world. Winter in America. I don't know. I'm not digging it. I outside of just the general, I do not care for this. I literally do not know what I have to say about this book. This is, I as much shit as Cap had to go through, Sam Wilson had to deal with a lot of that bullshit from Nick Spencer's run, and I'm glad that Waid's on Captain America so that character can be redeemed. I feel like we need a similar thing for Sam Wilson, and this just doesn't feel like it. Sam Wilson's being accused of not thinking enough to catch on with what Steve Rogers was doing. He is being blamed for Hydra Cap in a way, and I'm just like, fucking serious? Really? How the hell is it his fault? How the hell are people preying on it as his wrongdoing? Even if it's just the villain getting to his own doubts, he shouldn't even have doubts about, he should have noticed. It was a fucking cosmic cube. This is silly. I don't have anything to say about this, and I've still got more books to go, so I'm going on. Venom number 157. Kraven's hunting dinosaur people. Venom's hunting Kraven. Kraven knows that Venom is hunting him and springs a trap. Venom is defeated. Mayor Wilson Fisk. Just a whole lot of meh. Really, just a whole lot of, okay, this is a weird thing to do. Let's just all admit. Announcing that Kraven the Hunter will be hunting dinosaur people on behalf of the police department of New York City. And, he's going to be hunting dinosaur people. I don't know. I just... That's odd. Not a fan. Yeah, I think I'm dropping this. This is just not fun anymore. Like, it was really interesting, and now it's just not even fun. Like, now it's just disappointing. Now it's another bad Venom book, and I felt like this was the book that finally got how to write Venom. It's too bad. It really, really, truly is too bad. And that's another one I don't really have a ton to say about. I just am generally disappointed. I don't even care about the tease that's given at the end. About the ticking clock that's put on at the end. I'm just... not able to care about this anymore. It built up a interest and level of intrigue and drama, and then it gave Eddie Brock the Venom symbiote back and immediately ruined all that. Like, there's not been a good issue since Eddie Brock got the Venom costume. The issues that I liked with Eddie Brock were good because of what they implied would happen. And it's not... You know, the stuff that has been resolved seems to be prolonging the stuff that I'm not liking. So, whatever. I think that book's gone. Hate to say it. Go ahead and move on to Wonder Woman, number 34. Oh... I don't get it. I really don't get it. Greg Rucka did 25 issues to reestablish Wonder Woman's origin as being made of clay. And now we are 9 issues later. And not only is she the daughter of Zeus again, she has a brother, a son of Zeus, and her mother Hippolyta. Why? Just like, okay. Just on the revelation, I already dislike this. Just on that level of the revelation. Like, it was one thing when she considered Jason a brother because they have the same father. But on the revelation that he is the child of Zeus and Hippolyta, that I'm already against. Just on premise, I'm just like, no, I don't like that. But then it somehow, this issue manages to make me not like it even more. With just being freaking useless. Like, the last issue was an absolute waste. This issue is an absolute waste. This is ridiculous. Let me read, or let me set up what's happening. This is the birth of Jason and how he was taken off Themyscira. So he's taken to a fisherman just outside the border of Themyscira, and he's going to be given to this fisherman. And the lady that is giving him away, again, giving away Hippolyta's child, has this conversation with him. Gallicus? Ah, it's me. I expected you'd sound younger. You're immortal, are you not? It's when you become so, that's the thing. I'd already lived my share and then some before I stopped aging. But enough on me. Let's be about our business so I can get home and hand him over. You know what's expected of you. Ha! Morning Never and Queen been exchanging words via pigeon and hawk for a good while. Then it says, Queen Hippolyta must have discussed. With you, you'll raise him to manhood and he'll never know where he was from. Of that I make no promise. The boy'll know what I tell him. Comes the time I'll deem it so. And if I say that's unacceptable, then take the baby in your boats and be off with you. Get back home or not, it's of no mind to me. Here then, have him. Does he have a name, this one? Blah, 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 blah. What a fucking waste of your time reading that entire conversation is. Just an absolute waste of your time. Here is Jason, the son of Hippolyta and Zeus. Take him and keep him safe. I will. Done. That is all that is said. Like, there are tangents within tangents, and it's not naturalistic dialogue either. It's just bad. It's just a waste of your time. And then, okay, so then we flash forward to the modern day, and we have Wonder Woman meeting Jason. And the whole fucking issue is just them talking about Jason and who he is and what he has been up to till this point right here. Okay? This entire book has been spent on who Jason is and what he's been up to and blah, 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 blah. And then it turns out it was all a lie. He may still be her brother. It's hard to fucking tell. But it turns out, like, all the stuff he was telling Wonder Woman, that's all bullshit. He, in fact, has teamed up with the daughter of Darkseid against Wonder Woman. For what fucking reason, I don't know. Why would you ever think you could trust the daughter of Darkseid more than you could trust Wonder Woman? Knowing that she is on a mission to kill the children of Zeus. Like, who's gonna be surprised when next week I go, oh, the daughter of Darkseid betrayed him and is now sacrificing him to Darkseid as well. Oh my god. I can't believe that happened. That is going to be my exact reaction. So anyway, Wonder Woman starts fighting them and then kind of gets, like, overwhelmed by the two of them and is now left helpless and at their mercy. So, like, the whole issue is a waste. The last 3 issues are one issue. Seriously, we spent 3 issues to get to this point. There's such a waste of this. So much conversation and bullshit that we just do not need on any level. It's just pointless. Like, the reveal that Jason's been lying is a reveal that should have happened at the very end of the issue, not before a fight scene in the same issue. Just so much about this just screams of not knowing how to write this crap. My god. And again, it's just, like, I feel like I'm wasting my time right now. What a waste. What a freaking waste of my time. Alright. Last single issue of the week is Darth Vader, number 7. Man, we really are just downhill. I mean, everything's downhill after Tom King and Margaret Bennett in the same episode, but still, we are really downhill right now. Okay, so I laughed my ass off about it last time. But seriously, Costa knew the Jedi Librarian is Sidious's number 1 target. Like, she is the one that Vader needs to take down the most. And the reason why is because she has all of the Jedi's knowledge. if Sidious is wiping Jedi out across the galaxy, why does it matter what knowledge she has? Like they have these conversations. Oh, she couldn't do everything. No, she really couldn't. She could pass the Jedi knowledge on, revealing where she is and what she's up to, and then you could kill her and anyone that gained the knowledge. So that's seriously what this issue is just Vader asking why he's got to go after Costa, the Jedi librarian. And just a lot of shit that sets that up. It's just the Jedi and the Inquisitor from Rebels talking about Jocasta Nu and their mission to root out the last remaining Jedi from the galaxy. Jocasta Nu is off on her own, archiving all of her knowledge so that she can start a new Jedi school. And then she goes to Coruscant to start getting what she needs to start the Jedi school. And Vader's explained why she's so dangerous. That's the entire issue. Yeah, it's just like Nathan Snyder brings up again. This is my video game point. This is the cutscene before your next mission. I'm just so like I want to skip the cutscene and go to play the game. I don't know. I am so not loving this right now. Like, this book has its moments, but that's what they are. They are moments. This is not a good book. I don't even have anything to say about the art. Like, Darth Vader's mask is too snub looking. He looks too flat. I don't like that, artistically speaking. That's kind of like a consistent problem. Maybe it's just dead-on panels of him, but I think the artists are having trouble conveying depth of Vader's mask because it just looks a little too flat. It's not far enough out. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, you guys are going to have to give me a break for just a minute. I need to go get something to drink before we get into trade talk. But while I'm going to get something to drink, I'll let you see what we're going to be talking about when I come back. Oh man, I was really hoping that would gain quite a reaction out of the comments, and it just did not. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be going on to Trade Talk now, so I'll be saying goodbye to the live comments section. Yeah, that'll be good. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. Today I have kind of an unconventional thing. As I mentioned on this week's episode of Comic Reviews, I just got back from my honeymoon. We went to Universal Studios Orlando, and we had a great time there, picked up a lot of stuff. Go check out the episode of Comic Reviews if you want to see me show off some of the things I got. But among the things we got was Night Night Groot, a children's book. My brother-in-law and his wife just had a little girl, so my niece, Ellie, and we were looking around at all the souvenir shops on what to get people, and we wanted to get some stuff for Ellie, so when we saw this, we were like, oh, we had to. I'm not a huge Guardians fan or anything, but I think Baby Groot is adorable, hence why I busted this guy back out. I love Baby Groot to death, and so when I saw this, I was like, oh, we gotta get that for her. Come on, let's do it. Let's get it for Ellie. And so we did. We got my niece a bedtime storybook that's absolutely adorable. It's got a dust jacket, and it is an adorable dust jacket, which is always good. And then it's got a hardcover. Night Night Groot, Volume 1. Artwork by Cale Atkinson. Written by Berndan. Deneen? And we got just already the adorableness levels on here are astounding. We have adorableness to the max. So I have no doubt in my mind that Ellie will be enjoying this. So this is a just pretty basic bedtime story for kids, so I'm not going to go through and do an intensive review, but it is really cute, and so if you are someone with kids, or you've got friends, nerdy friends with kids, and you want to, babies, and you want to find something for them and their kids, this would probably be a good thing to look out for. So it's just this little, night-night tale about putting Groot to bed and all the things they've got to do before they can put Groot to bed. And it's about, having a big day full of adventure and friends. And so you get all these characters from the Marvel Universe showing up to help in the events of the day that have to happen. And it's really, really cool, really fun art, too. I love the design for Groot. I love the just look of the spaceships and stuff. It looks really, really solid. Of course, Groot only says, "I am Groot," as he is supposed to. And it's just cute, man. What can I tell you? This is just too much fun. Kids will have a blast looking at it. And I'm glad we got it for her, because I thought it was really, really adorable. So yeah, if you got kids or know someone who does and you want to get them a geeky gift, definitely something to keep your eyes out for. Trying to think if there's anything else I really have to say about this. This is a really short episode of Trade Talk. I don't have a ton. What's this line? Your friends are here to save the day. They'll bring a hammer. They'll bring a cat. Cat's Black Panther. I like that. They'll bring their kicks and a spin attack. We got Gamora doing spin kicks. Yeah, just coolness. Just fun, adorable awesomeness. Yeah, highly recommend. Fun, sweet book for kids. So, see you on the next episode of Trade Talk. Hey, live audience. Comic Reviews isn't done. We're not done. I know, normally Trade Talk means the end of Comic Reviews. We're not done yet. We have plenty more to go. You just wait. I am going to put my dust jacket back on the book, though. Glad I got the chance to talk about this before we gave it to them. So let's put Baby Groot back out of frame. How's the live audience doing? All right. Whew. All right, let's get ready for the other episode of Trade Talk. I'm trying to decide how to post these. I'll come up with something. Maybe I'll just post 2 episodes on Friday. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll post 1 on Friday, 1 on Saturday. Anyway. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. This week we have a pretty massive thing to talk about. This is Mr. Miracle by Jack Kirby. And as you can see, this is a thick frickin' trade. So Jack Kirby, of course, the original creator of The Fourth World and Mr. Miracle. And so this collects his original run on Mr. Miracle. The original issues of Mr. Miracle, written and drawn by none other than the king of comics himself, Jack Kirby. So this is an 18-issue collection, which is, again, just huge. And it's really good, really cool, really interesting. I like this a lot more than I think I've liked other things that I've read by Jack Kirby. I was talking with Steve at one point, and he is of the opinion, and I kind of tend to agree with him, that Mr. Miracle is definitely the best thing from Kirby's Fourth World. So this was just a really neat read to get through all of it over the course of a week. And it's just got a lot of really cool, dynamic art in it, you know? Like, I love all the traps that Kirby shows us and gives us for Mr. Miracle to deal with. And just some really cool action. This is a very bombastic book. This book is anything but subtle. Put it that way. Excuse me, sorry. It's the interpretation that a lot of people have come up with, and I think it may even be based on something Kirby himself said, is that Mr. Miracle was Kirby's metaphor for his own anxiety. And so you get a lot of, like, very tense moments. Like, I love this building, the internal of the building, the top, as they're about to drop Mr. Miracle and Trunk off of the top floor of the inside of this building. And so in this issue, we just get, in this, we just get Mr. Miracle dealing with stuff. It's funny to talk about this particular story, because this is the Tom King's Mr. Miracle book has been borrowing excerpts from the original narration by Kirby. So this week's issue, number 4, if you're watching this well after the fact, took for the opening segment the opening narration from this issue, wherein Scott is literally being thrown in a trunk off the top of a building. But yeah, so like you got a lot of intense imagery and just high action, high intensity moments, and then of course Mr. Miracle always finds a way to survive at the very end. And like, this is probably, I think, my favorite cover in the entire run. Geez, that's perfect. Like, everyone really likes the issue 1 cover of Mr. Miracle. Where's that? Like, everyone really likes that one. This screams Mr. Miracle more than anything else to me. Dr. Wunderbar's murder machine. It's like there's a freaking A-bomb. It's pretty good. Also, I never realized that Big Barda, like, her kind of skimpy costume design was an original Mr. Miracle, was an original Jack Kirby design on the costume. I always thought that was like something else DC threw in because they didn't feel like drawing the complexity of Big Barda's costume every time. But no, that's straight out of Kirby. Dirty old man. It's okay. Barda's awesome. And, like, you know, I love this scene, too, because got a bunch... Scott's ordered a cannon. His escapes are fucking ridiculous. Scott has ordered a cannon, and the guys are trying to get it off the truck, and they're all like, oh, be careful with it, it's an antique. And Barda just comes and, like, frickin' lifts the thing up and carries it over his shoulder. It's a really cool image of her. There's your image, most iconic image of Big Barda, I think. So it's really fun, really cool book. At the same time, though, I don't... like, as much as I enjoyed it, I always feel so weird talking about Jack Kirby stuff, like, in context of a review. Because usually my takeaway is just, yeah, I liked it. Or I thought parts of it were cool. I just have a really hard time talking about the specifics, reviewing the specifics of a Jack Kirby book without just kind of venturing out to talk about Jack Kirby. Like, I feel like I've got a really well-formed opinion of Jack Kirby, and if you want to hear that at length, you can watch an episode of Geeky Gentleman Steve and I did just talking about Jack Kirby, and I'll link that in the description. But since I've talked about Jack Kirby at such length at various points on this channel, I don't really feel the need to do that for this review. But then I don't know how much else I have to say. Every issue, like, builds, but it more or less stands on its own. Like, we get some flashbacks to Scott's time on Apocalypse. We get wicked cool art like that. I love the detail and the reflective, shiny look of the metal. You know, I can tell you things about this, like Funky Flashman is an allegory for Stan Lee. I can talk about that kind of stuff all day, but I can't really summarize the overall story because it's just Mr. Miracle's story. It's just him, you know, doing his escapes and getting into wacky situations, and then having to deal with those and try to do the right thing. And then, of course, they find out he's an escape artist, and they put him in a trap to escape from, and he does it every time. And, like, he'll give you see, the way I really did it was explanation at the end. I will say I do have one complaint about this that, like, does legit bother me. So you have Darkseid's female Furies, of which Barda was originally the leader. And at one point they get set on... They're the villains of an issue. They get set on a mission to take out Big Barda and Scott free for running away from Apocalypse. But, like, eventually... And I could probably find this if I just go a little bit further ahead. Eventually, they just start working with Scott free. Like, they just become members of the team. And that I really don't like. Not because, like, I don't like the characters or anything. They're fun, enjoyable characters. Let me go further ahead. Not that further ahead. They're fun, enjoyable characters and all. Like, here's a panel that shows them all as a team together. They're fun, enjoyable characters, but, like, I feel that you make Apocalypse out to be this really harsh, disgusting area in which people are treated terribly. And we actually get some flashbacks to Apocalypse, and it is awful. We get, like, Scott Free's mentor. We get a story about him and how he, like, hid amongst the people of Apocalypse, and how, like, the people that he was hiding amongst hated him because if he was thought to be hiding in their area, the parademon soldiers of Apocalypse would find it easier to just kill everybody in the area than search him out. So, like, he's hated on Apocalypse, and you have people on Apocalypse that he's trying to get to break out of this dark side is mindset, and they don't want to do it. They value their own life and Darkseid's life over freedom. And so that's all really interesting. And it makes Scott Free an interesting character in that he was able to overcome all that and escape Apocalypse. And it makes Barda an interesting character in that she is clearly in love with Scott Free, which doesn't really amount to anything until the very last issue. She is in love with Scott Free and is thus able to find the strength to run away and pursue happiness with him outside of Apocalypse. But then when you have the female Furies run away with her, it kind of undercuts that narrative of the oppressive, scary nature of Apocalypse. Like, you know, I always go back to the Superman the Animated Series episode where Superman fights Darkseid and beats him to a pulp and then throws him down to his people to let them deal with him. And they pick him up and take him inside to heal. And Darkseid stops them briefly and says, "I am many things, Superman, but here I am God." So, like, that's always been my mindset for what Darkseid is on Apocalypse, what it means to be a citizen of Apocalypse. And so escaping is a rare thing in my mind, and should be. And so Jack Kirby, of course, is the writer. He gets to determine what Apocalypse is and who gets to escape Apocalypse, right? Fuck no. You know, he gets to say it all he wants, but that doesn't mean a damn thing unless I buy it, and I don't buy that it's okay for people to just leave Apocalypse. I think that Scott Free and Barda should be the, like, 1 in a million exception that gets away. Like, I believe, like, 1 in 1,000 rejects Darkseid, but I can't believe that, you know, Apocalypse just lets so many of these people go. And the female Furies running away with Barda really, really does not work for me. I bookmarked a scene because I wanted to talk about some general thoughts on Jack Kirby too. Because I've seen people say that, like, Jack Kirby is a really great visual storyteller, but Stan Lee and others would stomp on his visual storytelling by just adding dialogue and narration that didn't need to be there. Jack Kirby added dialogue and narration that didn't need to be over his own art, which is, again, why I tend to say that, like, Jack Kirby is a really good ideas guy, but I don't think he has the best sense for storytelling and, or for the word part of storytelling, for the words. So, like, here's this example where you can just see what's happening in this panel. Barda and Scott are falling through a trapdoor. That is clearly what is happening in that panel. I'm going to read all the dialogue, and I'm going to read all the words on that panel. Suddenly, coming to Ugh! The floor's opened up! We're falling! No, no! If he wants to slow you down on reading, having Mr. Miracle say, "We're coming, Ted, ugh," and having Ted say, "No, no," would be enough, because we can clearly tell that they're falling through the floor. Having Barda talk there is just unnecessary. It is just fundamentally, the visual is enough in that moment, yet we are seeing more of it, or we are reading what is happening. And that is just I don't like when that stuff happens in any comic, really. I can tell what's going on. And maybe, this was a time when younger people were reading comics, and so they felt the need to hold hands more. Maybe, but I just don't feel like anyone would have trouble understanding that they're starting to fall through the floor. You got motion lines, you got this break in what's happening in the context of the scene. It just feels unnecessary to me. And again, this is more a wider point on my thing with Jack Kirby, is like, he's a good ideas guy. He's a good plotter. He's really not good at dialogue and knowing when not to use it. So yeah. Flaming swastikas. I love the Kirby crackle. It's always cool to see the Kirby crackle stuff. I mean, it's really bad. I spent like a lot on this, and it's cool to see all the scenarios and stuff that Scott Free gets put into, that he has to escape from, that I really like. Like at one point, he's in basically just like a howitzer right before it's about to fire. And so he has to escape from that, and that's really neat. I like a lot of the stuff. I just don't think I have a ton to say about it. Let me see what's going on with my live comments. Maybe they can help me pursue the conversation further. Oh. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything in the live comments either. I don't know. I'm just not digging it, guys. Or it's not that I'm not digging it. I highly recommend this, and it's really cool that DC put out a collection of the entire run. That's really awesome that they put all 18 issues into one volume like this. But I recommend you go read it, but that's the thing, is like, it's really just to be read. Like, it's just to be read and enjoyed, and especially if you like Kirby, you will love this. But for me, I don't have a ton I can say about it. Like, again, all the ridiculous scenes that Scott Free gets put in, like, he gets into a metal barrel, and Big Barda has a giant nutcracker. And she's going to crack his nuts with it. And he has to escape in time. Like, I like all the crazy scenarios that he's put in and stuff. That's cool. Shiloh Norman's introduced towards the end of this. The last issue is interesting in that, like, all of the villains that have appeared so far show up in the last issue, and Big Barda and Scott get married. They don't admit that they love each other until the last issue, mind you. But they get married in the last issue, all the villains show up, Scott has to keep beating them left and right. And then Orion and Highfather show up to take him away to New Genesis. So it's cool. It's a little all over the place, but it's certainly cool. I'm a little disappointed Darkseid himself doesn't make a more significant appearance in this. Like, he's in at the very end. Like, he's literally at the very end, the very last page is Darkseid. You got Shiloh Norman say, "Wow, look at that dude. Have you been out in the storm all this time, mister?" "I am the storm." "I did spoil it, though. It had deep sentiment, but little joy. But life at best is bittersweet," Darkseid quotes. That's probably not the Darkseid quote you want to get a tattoo of, though. Let me find the panel of Darkseid that I did really like from the Origin issue. Origin story we got for Scott of like his escape from Apocalypse issue. Because that was really cool. Gotta find it. Kirby's use of perspective is really cool, too. Like, this is an interesting 2-page spread because it gives you kind of a sense of vertigo. And it's a distorted, skewed perspective, but it looks really cool. But I want to find this Apocalypse issue because it's one of like the 2 or 3 times you see Darkseid. Here we go. So Scott is escaping from Apocalypse with the help of Metron and I can never remember the guy's name. Hireman, whatever Scott's mentor's name. Hyman. Anyway, so he's escaping, and Darkseid suddenly appears. Darkseid suddenly appears and says, "He can take it," being the escape route. "I'll not stop him now. If courage and bravery took him here, some of it was mine. Stay, warrior. Let me complete the destruction of Scott free, so you may live with the majesty that is the power of Darkseid." The young fool goes on. He struggles to rise. If he leaves Darkseid, he'll still find death. If he leaves Apocalypse, he'll find the universe. Let me be scot-free and find myself. And then the last line Darkseid has in that is, "I'll face Orion whenever fate decrees. And in the end, I will shut down this universe to all life, except the will of Darkseid." So I love the way Kirby writes Darkseid. It's always cool. But yeah, I just don't have a ton to talk about with it. I feel bad because it's a cool book, but that's all I can really say. It's a really cool trade, and you should go read it. Jack Kirby does amazing dynamic things with the art and puts Scott free in ridiculous ass situations, like tying him to a torpedo. So yeah, I dig it. I dig it. Go read it. Not bad, only $30. That's about like double a normal trade, so that's not too bad at all. Alright, everybody. That'll do it for this episode of Trade Talks. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Until next time. Bye. Alright. I saw Grady Childs was asking a question, so I figured I'd answer that before I end comic reviews. Ian, if you see this comment, can you answer this question? Why are pretty much all adult animation in the US just comedies and quite a few raunchy and vulgar ones? The only exception I've seen so far is Samurai Jack Season 5. That's it. You could say the DC animated films, but I don't care much for those anymore. I just want quality adult animation here in the US that deals with mature themes that's well animated. BoJack Horseman deals with mature themes, but the animation is crap and it's still a comedy. You can have humor, but I'd just rather see a straight-up drama, just a change of pace. Dude, this is like a really big issue, but American sensibilities about animation are really connected to either it's for kids or it's just funny. And, things like The Simpsons and Family Guy have not done a ton to help advance that narrative. I really do wish that more things would be, American animated for adults, and not be comedic. Like it would really, really feel good to get some stuff that's like that. And unfortunately, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what the status of Hellsing, the Netflix series, is. I think that's an American animated series that just apes a lot of Japanese anime, but like that's definitely a more adult oriented thing, and I'd recommend it. Yeah, I don't know though. It's just part of an American sensibility thing, and that tide's slowly turning, but it is slow. Not much you can do about it. All right, so that'll do it for comic reviews. Everyone, thank you very, very much for watching. Till next time, bye.